The time is 7:02. I call the August 21st, 2024 Village of Suffern Planning Board meeting to order. Please rise for the allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. First on the agenda, we have Lafayette Cafe at 50 Lafayette. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Here's the right place for the heat. This is kind of sliding on the floor.
This is the one.
Yeah.
Good evening, Chair. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Ariel Ofgang. I am the owner and architect for 50 Lafayette Avenue Cafe, LLC, doing business as Lavanya of Suffern. I'm very happy to report to you all today that our little experiment in the restaurant business is working. The place is doing great. We feel like people are really enjoying it, and now we're ready to go back and put an investment in the outside of the building. So what you have before you is two applications, one for sign and one for facade repair, which I believe is just an ARB consideration. And they've been reviewed by the buildings department. Here you have an image of what it's going to look like. The intention is to do a combination of steel sculptural elements, painting the middle of the building, putting a nice sign and a small mural on the side, and removal of the current graffiti sign that's on there now. We also want to do a planter in the bay window where the ATM machine used to be. I'd like to put a planter with some herbs. The chefs can come out, pull some herbs, throw them on the pizzas, and maybe, if possible, on the property line, some small planters. I know I'd probably have to, if you're okay with it, I'd have to amend the sidewalk seating application, put some small planters on the property line, separating the walking path from the possible sidewalk cafe that we want to do, which is permitted already. We just haven't exercised that permit.
No, that was approved last time, right? The seating plan was all approved last time.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Site plan's approved.
This is, so just so we're clear, and I know you mentioned it, this is really just about the facade and the sign. That's it.
Okay.
Right, nothing about, I know you mentioned the other things, but those are not on for approval tonight.
No, this is just about the facade, the sign, removing the graffiti mural, and painting a new mural of the two people on the Vespa here. And I have some details if you want to see some close-up images of parts of the building. Hopefully the easel stands up. So on the glass doors, I'm not replacing them, but I want to do a sort of an Art Deco patterned film to give the doors a little decoration that would match the design over the windows, which we're going to have fabricated out of steel. The sign is 1'6" high by 8'2" long. It'll be a black sign with LED backlit letters. Really, the idea is to make it look more inviting. I kind of had this concept when we first opened. A lot of my work is in New York, and sometimes the sort of grungier look is attractive. It turns out our clientele likes a more refined look. So the idea is to make it look more inviting, light it up a little bit nicer, and make it really feel more like a restaurant and not just like a bank that is now a restaurant. And that's what we're here for.
Well, anybody have any questions? Comments? I like it.
Thank you.
If this is approved, how soon are you gonna?
Right away. My partner Don, who's the builder for us, he's on vacation for another week and a half. The day he gets back, I'm going to start bugging him to start. I don't think we need a building permit per se, right? So we're just painting the brick and hanging the sign, so we would start right away.
Okay, yeah. Listen, I think it looks great. The current sign now, I just hear all the time, people think it was really graffiti, as you called it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'm just being honest. I hear it all the time. When are you going to clean up that graffiti? Talk to the mayor.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's not graffiti, so.
Well, it sort of was, to be honest. So I had my friend who was the artist. If you've been inside, the entire place is one big mural. Okay. So my friend who was the artist, I just told him, just do whatever you want on the outside. I didn't think murals were regulated by the code because they're not stated.
No.
And then he kind of put the name so it looks like a bad sign. I didn't know what he was going to do.
No, I hear you.
We're happy with what he did on the inside. The outside, we know we have to clean it up, and that's what we're going to do.
I think that looks great.
Thank you.
And, for us refined Suffernites, we don't want grunge, we want refinedness.
Right.
I think. Any other comments?
I think it looks great.
Mr. Halper, are you all right?
No, it looks really nice.
All right.
So, yeah, I would do a motion that you waive, if the board's okay to waive the public hearing and just proceed to
Yeah.
consideration.
Do we have a
So I'll take
motion?
then.
Yeah, motion to waive the public hearing on this?
I make the motion.
Motion, Mr. Byrnes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. McInerney. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion is carried.
All right, so then it would be a motion to reaffirm, he was just in for site plan recently, so we're really not supposed to do separate secret. This is kind of, so I would just take a motion to reaffirm the previously issued secret declaration.
All right.
Take that.
Do we have a motion to reaffirm the previously affirmed secret declaration?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Halper, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. McInerney, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion is carried.
And then I guess a motion to approve the sign and the amended site plan with respect to the facade.
Do we have a motion to accept the amended site plan and facade and the sign?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. McInerney, do we have a second? I'll second it. Mr. Van Sickle, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion is granted.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you. I look forward to stopping in,
Thank you very
checking out
much.
the inside.
Great.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, you do need a permit with the building department to hang the sign?
Or to hang
When you're ready to hang the sign.
The sign contractor will probably just apply for just that permit, if that's all
Yeah,
right?
he just goes upstairs and lets them know that they're ready, it's ready to be hung and whatever. I think it's $50 for the permit or
Great.
whatever, but then this way they know it's hung by somebody who can handle it without it.
Understood, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank
really
you, I appreciate it. Okay, second on the agenda is JP Morgan Chase Bank. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Brian Powers. I'm with Black & Beach. We're based out of Kansas City, Kansas. My office here is Oakley and Paramus, New Jersey. The project we're here for is we're doing work with JP Morgan, who's looking to, I'll say, shrink its power bills and a bit of a green initiative. So that's the focus here we have tonight. JP Morgan gave us marching orders, first to explore rooftop solar.
You speak into the microphone, it's being recorded. We can't hear you.
I'm sorry?
Just speak closer into the
Oh,
mic.
my apologies there.
No problem.
Yeah. JP Morgan's marching orders were to first look at rooftop installations, if they weren't feasible for structural or other reasons, to then move to their parking areas for carports. The electrical balance between what we're doing here is not a replacement for the local utility, really an augmentation. The size of the proposed solar carports, somewhere in the, I think it's 38% of their average monthly usage would be picked up by the solar. So it's not even where you have those net metering scenarios where you can put some power back to the grid. I would think there'd be some extraordinary circumstances for that to happen, but that's what they're looking to do with their green initiative to kind of shrink the carbon footprint. The plans here are to place two small solar carports in what I'll call the smaller parking lot, which is immediately adjacent to the drive-through building there, and which also houses the ATM. One closest to that drive-through building, which will be about 3 parking spaces wide. The other one about 3.5 to 4. We don't want to change any of the prior approved site plans that have been approved actually before JP Morgan purchased the property. I think they go back to, the most recent one was 2004, I believe. So what we're looking to do is basically place 4 cylinder foundations, 2 on each side of that parking lot, where the steel infrastructure will go up, span it with other steel structures to support the carport. One thing to know about the carport with the panels, we seem to get a lot of question about, are we going to create a potential flooding issue with rain and runoff? It's not a complete structure, if you will. Each solar panel is individual, and there's a little gap between the two based upon for heat and other things to make sure it dissipates. So there will be draining through that roof, so it wouldn't be a complete, you'll get more shade than rain protection, if you will, from that. So we're looking to stay within the existing footprint that's already been approved and put that up. And I guess if there's any questions, hopefully I can answer them for you.
So the drive-through area does not change, the ATM doesn't change, they both remain?
Correct. The only thing outside of the carports and the supports there, the main guts, if you will, of the electrical equipment will be inside the bank building itself and with their electrical. So there will be underground conduit carrying those cables from the carport location to the bank building location.
Okay.
But I mean, once that's done, there's nothing above ground there.
And I'm curious, why 38%, not like, 88%? Just curious.
That's a good question. I mean, if you ask me from a fiscal responsibility standpoint, the cost of this, I think, in facilities like this, probably outweighs the overall benefit. I think J.P. Morgan is doing it as a function to, nationwide to reduce their carbon footprint, try and start on the right foot. We didn't want to change the site plan at all. There was original discussion on the further south side, the one that's further away from the drive-through, to expand it that full length, but there are existing electrical wires coming through there, so we didn't want to, interfere with any of those.
Okay, all right. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Is this for employee, customer? Or
It's the
general-
customer lot in the back.
It's like general public can pull in there and use it?
Yeah, I think it's private parking.
I mean, if not, I was over there prior to coming here, and there's signs there that prohibit it. I'll say general public. It's for
Paying
customers of the bank.
and employees.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know how that's regulated. That would be something that you would know better than I.
So this is actually this needs a variance. So what the board could do is, I think, send it to the ZBA for variance. You can do secret tonight because this is a type 2 action under 617.5 subdivision C, 14.6. It's because of installation of solar energy arrays involving 25 acres or less for a parking lot. So if the board's so inclined, that would be the first thing to take a vote on, is a finding of a type 2, this is secret type 2 action. So take a motion for that.
To declare ourselves lead agency?
Yeah, well, the lead agency and indicated type 2 action.
Okay, do I have a motion to declare the Village of Suffern Planning Board lead agency, and this is a type 2 action?
No further environmental review
No
required.
further environmental review required. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Byrnes, do I have a second? Mr. McInerney, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
So that would be a motion to refer to the zoning board of appeals for variances and for distribution to the Rockland County Planning, and set up a public hearing to come back.
All right, is that all one motion?
Yeah, you can do
That's a
that.
big motion, okay. So I have a motion to refer this to the ZBA for variance and to refer to Rockland County Planning. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion, Mr. Halper, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Van Sickle, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
So that's it. So
That's it for now.
Okay. So our next step is with the zoning board here.
I would set it for a public hearing.
Okay, and set it for a public hearing, let me just get the
Probably
date.
in October.
October? Okay, let me just check the calendar here. October, it would be 16th, is everybody good with the 16th of October? All right, so we'll send everything out, and that'll give us time to get everything back. And well, do I have a motion to set this for a public hearing on October 16, 2024?
I'll make that motion.
Motion, Mr. McInerney. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Mr. Van Sickle. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you
We'll
very
see you
much.
back in October.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Powers, do you want me to send everything to Brianne? Is that
Yeah,
who's
you
gonna be
can send it
doing
to
that?
Brianne. She's actually leading up the charge for our work
Okay,
with
so
JP
let her
Morgan.
know to call me, and I'll put her in touch with Melissa for the ZBA.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay.
Thank you very much. You have a good evening.
All right, next up on the agenda is the public hearing for 14 Wayne Avenue.
Paul, can you stand?
Yeah, I can stand on 1 foot. It's okay.
That's not great. If you have to sit, sit.
So the last time we were before the board, we received, you adopted lead agency. And I think we're here to be referred to the zoning board, and also a neg deck,
And also, what was that? I'm sorry.
and a negative declaration. We received a new letter from the building inspector, and he made a determination that the parking inside the garage doesn't count. We'll alter the plans to reflect that we need a bigger variance for the parking. But additionally, there's an opportunity to share parking with the adjacent lot, which there'll be a formal agreement drawn up as we discussed at the previous meeting.
But I did discuss this with some of the planning board members, referring to section 266-36 of the village code that allows for joint use of parking. So, as you can see on the plans Mr. Gdansky's holding, on the left, there's no parking spaces for patrons, right?
We have one.
One.
We provided one.
And there's 6 on 16.
Yeah.
And how many are required on 14?
On our site, we need 12.
Right.
Because of the bays.
Do you know how many are required on the other?
No, I don't recall.
So, I mean, it's 12, and basically they want to say that they have 7, correct me if I'm wrong, because you have 6 on 16 and 1 on 14.
Yeah.
So, the board can permit that if it wants. What Paul's referring to is there'd have to be what's called a cross easement that permits, both lots to use all the parking, but that's a call for the board as to whether or not it wants.
The owner would have that anyway because they're under 2 different LLCs, but he's the owner of both pieces.
Right, but theoretically, he could sell one. So you'd have an easement in any event. It would be a requirement to do an easement, but that can be taken care of afterwards. The
Yeah.
question is whether or not the board is willing to allow that. And the standard, it says, is if the applicant demonstrates to the planning board that the capacity of the facility will meet the intent of the requirements by reason of the provision of non-reserved parking spaces and variation in the probable time of maximum use by residents, visitors, patrons, and employees among such uses. So, look, you hear what the code requirements are. As I often say, that's kind of in the book. In terms of what's the reality, are you okay with that in the reality of what's going on? That's really what it is. So why don't you discuss that?
And the office for the facility is in 16, so there's no office here. It's just going to be, he's going to be working on the cars in there.
Are the 6 spots that are there, are they used for cars that they work on, or those are supposed to be for patrons that come in?
I mean, technically it's for patrons, but if you go by the site, it's filled with cars.
Well, that's a problem.
And there is parking in front of the building. That's where you can park. There's parking available there.
Employees?
Yeah.
Like roughly.
He doesn't have cars parked on the street at all or anything like that. It's pretty contained within his site.
Oh, I consider it open, yeah.
Any comments?
It's not feeling like there's nearly enough space, even two to make enough legitimate spots outdoors. Employees, customers, cars they're working on, I don't see how that all jives with the space. I just don't see the number. The building, per se is now built, so you have the building on the one that's already there, that they're working on. Now they build the second one. The parking lot's in between the two. The physical space that's between the two buildings that we're talking about, how many parking spaces will fit in that actual parking lot? I still don't see that. If there's 1 and 6, where do we pick up space?
I mean, unofficially, he could probably fit, 6 cars in the driveway. It's just getting in and out is gonna be hard to do, but they maneuver it. I mean, every collision shop around is the same way. They try and squeeze as many as they can. It's not the greatest, but that's what occurs.
Any other comments?
And for GML, yeah. And don't forget, this is not on right now for site plan approval. This is on to make a recommendation to the village board about the special permit. So you're not gonna do that tonight, but that's what that's why.
Well, we need the recommendation, the neg deck and the recommendation to the zoning board.
What are you folks thinking?
Where's the next place to send it for?
Zoning board for the parking, but two things. One is whether or not you want to issue the negative declaration. Again, that's different, but the other is about the joint parking. You don't necessarily have to make a determination on that tonight, but it is there. I don't know what the board is thinking other than Mr. Halper, so.
Anybody else have any thoughts on any of this?
If you want to go for legal counsel, we can do that.
My own experience with this type of shop is that you're not parked there if you're a customer, you're not parked there for a particularly long time. In an actual fact, you might not be parked there at all. You might get dropped off or picked up.
Yeah.
So
Most cars are getting towed there.
no, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So should we adjourn for?
What would be, does anybody want to make a motion to issue a negative declaration
Does anyone,
pursuant to secret?
do we have a motion to issue a negative declaration pursuant to secret?
Yeah, I'll make that motion, that's fine.
Mr. Byrne, do we have a second? Second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Van Sickle, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
So the issue is about, do you want to talk about the joint use, or do you just want to send it to the ZBA? Seems like it's 1-to-1 over here. What's there, right? I mean, there's beyond, right?
Do we send it to the ZBA? You want to talk about it? What do you folks?
If you want to consult with counsel, you can do that.
Or, yeah, consult with council. What are you thinking?
I'm sure they schedule, the way they'll schedule, being a business, they'll schedule the right flow of cars so they're not overloaded, because they know when they get their parts in and all that, So I don't have an issue with the joint.
When do we send it to the ZBA?
That's 2-1. There's 2 more people you want to ask? You and Hudson? We just gotta, I'm just trying to hash it out one way or the other, so it gets.
Do we send it to the ZBA?
I don't think I know enough to make a comment.
I'm sorry?
I don't have a comment.
To make a comment.
Okay.
Should we talk to you?
If you want.
Put it to the ZBA.
Do you want us, we'll adjourn for a moment and go into executive session and get more information from Rob?
Or consult, it would be consult.
Consult with Rob? Sure. All right, do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Halper, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. McInerney, all in favor say aye. Aye. right, do we have a motion to come out of executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. McInerney, do you have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Halper, all in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries. Okay. So they've got 2 bays, they want to build 3 more. Correct? Okay. And one of the things that was brought up was, what if they only built 2 more bays? Is that feasible?
My client's not here, he's on vacation, so
Because not only does it bring the requirement down to, we think, 16, the lack of having those bays opens up more parking. That's what the issue is.
Yeah.
So what sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, what was the math on it again, just so we're clear? I know you have, but just.
it's, you need 4 spots per bay.
Okay, so that would be,
And is that because it's taking into account like employees too?
I'm sure that's what it is. But like I said, all his offices are on the other side. There's no office in this building. Sure.
I mean, I think there are other considerations, possibly, getting parking spots for employees from the village. I'm inclined to send it to the ZBA
Yeah, that's fine.
and go from there. Anybody else have any comments? All right, do I have a motion to refer this matter to the Village of Suffern Zoning Board of Appeals
And for GML review?
and for GML review?
I'll make that motion.
Is that Mr. Byrnes?
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. McInerney, all in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
So,
Continue the public hearing until October,
yeah, and we, do I have a motion to continue the public hearing, October, 16th?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. McInerney, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Halper, all in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries. So.
Thank you.
We'll refer it and, come back on the 16th. Thank you, sir, and I hope your foot's feeling better.
Thanks.
Take care,
Thank
Paul.
you. All right, do we have any miscellaneous business to discuss? Any old business? New business? Okay. And, do we have a motion to set the September meeting for September 18th, 2024? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Halper, do I have a second? I'll second. Mr. Van Sickle, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. McInerney, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Byrnes, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.